The sun goes down and yet shines. She had not expected to learn how to breathe again. The first year after Sia died, breathing was a task. Waking up was a task. Raising her boy, who was 3 then and asked every night when Tata was coming home, was the only thing that felt real. The homestead was full, but her house felt empty. She stayed on in the yard her mother-in-law gave them when they married 5 years ago, 2 rooms with the blue door, the kraal just behind it. Every morning she could hear her brother-in-law, Mandla, starting the bakkie. Every evening she could hear his children playing. When the elders sat, they spoke softly but clearly. It is our way, my child. A home must not be left without a pillar. The children must not grow without a father in the yard. Her own mother told her, you do not have to love him like a husband. You have to let him keep the roof over you. So she was taken as the second wife. At first she could not look at him in that way. She called him Booty like before. She kept her door locked early. His first wife, Noma, watched her with a quiet that was worse than anger. Noma had been kind to her when she first arrived as a bride, had taught her how to make umingchusho the way the family liked it. But Mandla was not a cruel man. He did not come to her room uninvited. He brought mealie meal when hers ran out. He fixed the leaking tap without being asked. When her son was sick at night, he drove them to the clinic in East London without a word about petrol money. Slowly, the fear loosened. She started to see Sia in him. The same laugh that came from the chest. The same way of holding a cup with both hands. The same patience when her son asked too many questions. When they talked about Sia. She would tell stories about how clumsy Sia was when he tried to dance at their wedding. Mandla would laugh and say, he never did learn. And because those memories were the only place where she still felt married, she started to look forward to those talks. Booty, can you go with me to town on Saturday? I need to buy school shoes for the boy and that bag of cement for the yard. He always said yes. In town, he walked a little ahead carrying the heavy things, like a husband would. People who did not know would greet them as husband and wife, and she would not correct him too quickly. Sometimes in the afternoon, he would come with Noma to her house. They would sit outside under the tree, drink tea, talk for a long time about cattle, about the price of things, about the old days. Noma's presence made it feel proper. Made it feel safe. In those moments she felt part of the family again, not just the widow in the blue door house. But at night, after they had gone, the house was quiet again. And she would sit with a confusion she could not speak out loud. She was grateful for his kindness, and gratitude felt heavy. She was comforted when she saw her husband in him, and comforted felt like betrayal. She liked how Noma now squeezed her hand before leaving, as if to say we're in this together, and she did not know if she deserved that sisterhood. Her boy had started calling Mandla Tata Mandla. That made her heart both break and mend at the same time. Last week, while they were coming back from shopping, her son asleep on her back, Mandla had said quietly, you are doing well. Sia would be proud of how you are raising his son. She had wanted to cry. Not because she was sad, but because for the first time in a long time someone had said Sia's name not as a wound, but as a blessing. Now she stands at a strange place. She is not the grieving new widow anymore. She is not yet comfortable as the second wife. She is a woman learning to live again in a village where everyone knows her story, trying to keep her husband's memory alive for her son, while allowing herself to be cared for without guilt. She decided not to fight the name anymore. Second wife. At first the words felt like a borrowed dress, too big and itchy. Now she wanted to learn how to wear it properly, not as Sia's widow waiting to be pitied, but as Noma's sister. It started with small things. One morning she woke up early and went to Noma's house, not Mandla's. She knocked. Cece, I want to learn how you make that jekka you made on Sunday. My boy would not stop talking about it. Noma looked surprised. For months there had been a thin wall between them, polite but cold. Then Noma smiled, that slow smile that made her eyes disappear. Come, I will show you. But you must knead properly, not like a town girl. They laughed. In the kitchen, With flour on their hands, Noma said what she had never said before. I was scared when they brought you to us. I thought you would take his heart and I would be left with the bones. But I see now, you are not taking. You are adding. She did not know what to say, so she just kept kneading. After that, she stopped asking Mandla alone to go to town. She would go to Noma first. Cece, we need to go to town for the boys' shoes. Shall we go together on Saturday? So they started going as three. Her, Noma, and Mandla driving. In the bakkie, the two women would sit at the back and gossip and laugh loudly about the price of tomatoes, while Mandla pretended to be annoyed, but she could see him smiling in the rearview mirror. People in town no longer whispered, "That is the widow." They said, "There are Mandla's wives." And there was a strange pride in that. At home, they created a new rhythm. On Mondays and Thursdays she would cook and call them over to her Blue Door house. On Tuesdays and Fridays they would eat at Noma's house. The children, hers and Noma's, started to eat from the same plate without being told to. Her son stopped calling Mandla Tata Mandla. He just called him Tata when Noma's children did, and Mandla would answer to all of them at once. The hardest nights were still hard. Some nights she would lie awake and feel Sia so close she could smell him, and guilt would rise because she was finding comfort in his brother's yard. On those nights she learned to get up, wrap her shawl, and walk the few steps to Noma's kitchen door. Noma would be awake too. Many women in the village do not sleep well. They would sit with tea, not talking much. Two women who loved different versions of the same family. "You miss him today," Noma would say. She would nod. "I miss who I was before I had to share my husband," Noma would say back, honest. And she would nod again. That honesty became their sisterhood. Not pretending that it was easy or that jealousy never came. But choosing each other every day despite it. One evening Mandla sat under the tree with both of them. He was talking about fixing the fence before the rains. She looked at Noma, and Noma looked at her, and they both started laughing at the same time because Mandla was using his serious elder meeting voice for a small fence. He looked confused, then he laughed too. In that moment she understood something. She had been trying to see her husband in Mandla, but that was not what was keeping her anymore. She was seeing her future in Noma. A woman who would be there when the boy got sick, when there was no money, when the village women talked too much. She did not want to be alone in her house with her memories. She wanted to be part of a home again, even if it was a home shaped differently than the one she dreamed of at 22. She leaned over and adjusted Noma's shawl where it had slipped off her shoulder. Noma held her hand for a second. She was not Sia's widow alone in a village anymore. She was Cece to Noma. Mama to 4 children who ran in and out of both houses. And yes, second wife to a kind man who made sure there was always wood for both fires. The rains came early that year. The sky over the village turned heavy every afternoon, and the road to her Blue Door house turned to soft mud. Water found its way through the small crack above her window that Sia had always said he would fix when he had time. He never got the time. Mandla came one evening with 2 young men from the village and a sheet of corrugated iron. "This roof will not survive January," he said. "You and the boy cannot stay here when the big rains come." That night the elders came. Not to pressure her. They came with Noma's father among them, which made it feel less like a judgment and more like a family meeting. They sat in Noma's house because her house was bigger. Mama Mandla, her mother-in-law, spoke first. "My child, the house with the blue door was for a new couple. You were a new couple. Now you are part of a bigger house. It is time you come closer." Noma has agreed. There is space next to her kitchen. Mandla will build you 2 rooms there with a proper foundation. Your son will not have to walk through the mud to eat. It was what she had wanted. To be a sister wife, truly. Not a widow in the backyard. But it meant leaving the Blue Door house. Leaving the place where Sia's handprint was still in the cement outside because he had pressed it there jokingly when they poured it. Leaving the bedroom where his jacket still hung. Everyone looked at her to say thank you, to say yes. She said, "Nkosi, I will come." Noma reached over and squeezed her knee under the table. Noma knew. For 3 days Mandla and the men built 2 rooms, not big, but with a straight roof and a window that looked out at Noma's garden. Noma's children carried bricks with great importance. Her boy, now 4, carried 1 brick at a time and said he was building his mama a castle. When the rooms were ready, it was time to move. She packed slowly. Pots, plates, the small television. Noma helped her fold everything. Then they came to the bedroom. On a nail behind the door, Sia's things still hung. His heavy brown jacket he wore to funerals. His faded blue work shirt. His cap. She had washed them after he died. They still smelled faintly of him, or maybe she imagined it. Noma stood in the doorway and did not come closer. She understood this was not sister-wife business. This was widow business. What will you do with them? Noma asked softly. She touched the brown jacket. For 5 years, she had kept them there because if she kept them hanging, it meant he might still walk in and need them. Taking them down felt like burying him a second time. I cannot wear them. My son is too small. I cannot throw them. Noma thought for a moment. In my family, Noma said, we do not throw away a person's clothes. We give them life again. The next day was Saturday. No shopping. Noma took the blue work shirt and sat with it. She was good with a needle. By evening, she had cut it carefully and made it into 2 small shirts for the boys. From the cap, she took the fabric and sewed a small bag for her boy to carry his crayons. The heavy brown jacket, she left alone. She folded it neatly and put it in a box with Sia's other small things, his ID book, his wedding ring that was too big for her now. She put the box on the high shelf in her new room, not hidden, but not hanging on the nail anymore. When her son saw his new small blue shirt, he ran to her. Mama, I look like Tata. She wanted to cry, but Noma was there and said, you look like both your Tatas. The one who gave you your name and the one who is teaching you to ride a bicycle. That night, the rain beat hard on her new roof. And the roof did not leak. She lay in her new room listening to it. From Noma's side of the house she could hear Noma humming while washing dishes. From the other room she could hear her boy breathing deeply in his sleep, safe and dry. Her grief was not gone. It had just changed its shape. From a heavy jacket hanging on a nail that she stared at every day, into small, useful things that could walk around the yard. She was no longer the woman in the blue door house waiting. She was home. The morning after the big rain, the village smelled like wet earth and smoke. She woke up dry. That was the first thing she noticed. No bucket under the leak. No damp blanket. Her new room was cold because the cement was still fresh, but it was dry. Her son was already up, playing in Noma's kitchen in his new small blue shirt. She could hear his laugh and Noma's laugh mixed together. She made tea and walked over to the blue door house one last time. The mud was thick, her shoes sank a little with each step. The house looked smaller now without her things inside. The blue paint was peeling. The handprint in the cement outside was still there, half filled with rainwater. She touched it. Indiabulela, she whispered. Thank you. Not goodbye. Mandla was checking the kraal fence when she found him. Her mother-in-law was with him, holding an umbrella even though the rain had stopped. Mama, Booty, she said. I wanted to say, the blue house is empty now. It should not stay empty. Sia and I, we were happy there because someone gave it to us when we had nothing. Let us give it to Lutho and his new wife. They are staying in one room with his mother. They need it more than my boxes do. Mama Mandla looked at her for a long time. This old woman had lost a son and gained a complicated family, and she rarely showed softness. Mama Mandla put her hand on her cheek. Her hand was rough and warm. My son Sia chose well, she said. You have a big heart, my child. Lutho will be happy. Mandla just nodded. He was a man of few words when he was moved. I will tell Lutho to come and fix the blue paint, he said. When they walked back to the main yard, Noma was waiting outside with 2 cups of tea. She handed one to her. Noma had never called her by her proper name. She always called her Cece, or Mama Carboy. Polite names. Sister wife names. This time Noma said, Thandi. Her real name. The name her mother gave her. The name Sia used to whisper when he wanted to tease her. Thandi, come, your tea is getting cold. And this son of yours says he does not want porridge, he wants bread like a town child. Thandi laughed. The sound surprised her. It was a real laugh, from her stomach. Your son too, she said to Noma, playing. Your son taught him. Our son, Noma corrected, and said it simply, like it had always been true. They sat on the low stools outside the new rooms, two wives of one kind man, two sisters made not by blood but by loss and by choice. Noma's children and her boy ran around them in circles, kicking up the wet earth, wearing the same blue shirts, impossible to tell apart from behind. Inside her new room, on the high shelf, the box with the brown jacket sat quietly. It was not a shrine anymore. It was a memory kept safely, high up, where love is kept when it is not needed every day but should never be thrown away. She sipped her tea. The rain had washed everything clean, and in front of her, the yard was full of life. She was no longer just surviving the custom. She was living it, in her own way, with her sister beside her.